Hello, welcome everyone. It is another edition of Real Talk with Miss Kathy, and I'm so happy to be here. And my guest today is here, and her name is Gemma. Gemma, I'm so happy to have you in my home. Finally, we get to interact. We've often said that we were going to try to hang out on Google Hangouts, and because of the time difference, Gemma is in the UK, and I am here south of St. Louis, Missouri. So our time difference is a lot. Gemma, it's 10 a.m. here. What time is it for you?
It's just gone 4. It's 4:01. Yeah.
That already amazes me. Isn't it so cool how I can be sitting here in my coffee room having a conversation with you and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes, I'm actually in my bedroom, which is my favorite place to be in my flat where I live. So this is where I broadcast from, my comfort zone.
Well, I am so excited to have Gemma on my Real Talk today, everyone. If you're here later, you can watch the replay, but we are going to talk about the pros and cons of social media and being autistic. And Gemma, go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, so I'm really honoured to be here, Miss Kathy, I must say, and thank you for having me on. It's a really pleasure to be here. Being on the spectrum for someone like me can be quite confusing at times with social media. As you know, I've had my fair share of battles with people and situations on YouTube. And being autistic, my senses, I guess, are heightened. So I have to learn to adapt and control them. And social media has been really quite nerve-wracking and scary in places, but it's also a good thing because it's taught me how to socially communicate, how to make friends, and it can be a good thing. It just depends whether you have the strategies in place to help you. And at first I didn't, whereas now I'm getting better at it, but I'm still battling with a lot of the ways of communication and how to be appropriate with people. That's where I struggle, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess it's not just social media, but I probably um, the biggest what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having word problems. Um, Roadblock, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It would be the camera. So not necessarily social media as far as writing and like a blog. Have you ever done a blog? Because I imagine being on camera is probably the hardest part. So YouTube, social media is probably your biggest challenge, correct?
Yeah. Being on camera can be quite difficult because you're expected to give full eye contact all the time. That's one area that I let myself down with because eye contact is so difficult. I have to constantly practice looking at the screen, then looking away, then coming back. And people are, Gemma, you don't give full eye contact to the camera. And I'm like, I try, but the problem is that I get so overwhelmed by the amount of eye contact I have to do outside of my YouTube live that by the time I've done that and come home and then come online to do a video or a stream, I'm like, oh, I'm just so tired. I'm worn out. But I don't want to disappoint everybody who supports me. So I force myself to overcome that and go, you know what? Yes, I might have had a suckish day or I've done too much eye contact, but I want to overcome that and go, instead of going, oh, poor me, poor Gemma, I want to help everybody. So I want to be there regardless if I don't feel well or not. So it's kind of something I've pushed past the last few months to help myself.
Well, I think it helps too that other people see how you are dealing with that. Your vulnerability is amazing. You're very brave to be able to do that. But your whole insight to do this is to bring awareness so that you have to show the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think you do a great job with that.
Yeah, I try and be more vulnerable. I think the more vulnerable you are on YouTube and the more that you help somebody explain something, you get a more balanced view of things. So for me, I'm learning more of the neurotypical processes of how to interact with people rather than going, oh, well, I'm autistic. This is bad. This is bad. I'm thinking, well, no, if I can take a step in the neurotypical life, I can be, oh, I can give eye contact if I try. I can socially be better with communication. It's just that I have to learn the process of it. And talking to you and talking to people who I regularly talk to on the YouTube, I'm like, oh, I can act normal. I can keep calm. I can stop fidgeting all the time. And it's just little things that I've taught myself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gemma, real quick, let's say hello to those who have joined us in the chat.
Okay, sure.
Let me scroll up to everyone. Forgive me, those of you who are here, but I'm going to go back up. I know we're a little behind. We have Jojo Walker Unplugged, hashtag Nations13 is the first one here this morning. Is Jojo someone that you know?
Yes, Jojo is part of the Nations 13 group that I'm part of, and she supports me. She's like my online sister. She looks after me a lot. She's a really, really good person, a really, really nice person. She looks after me a lot and supports me. So, hey Jojo, if you're still here, it's good
Thank
to
you
see
for
you.
coming. That's fantastic. I want to hear a little bit more about Nations 13 in a minute.
Okay.
We have Malta McMurphy saying hello to Jojo. Thank you for coming. Gemma recommended this channel, and she looks forward to today's discussion. Malta says, some of you may know that I was diagnosed with a learning disability, and while this varies from autism, I do find social media overwhelming. I hope to learn how social media affects those with autism. That is definitely our goal today, Malta. Thank you for joining us.
Hey Malta, good to see you.
She also says, and maybe some coping strategies for a world that, in my view, seems a bit wrapped up in social media. You're not the only one there, Malta. We are definitely wrapped up in social media. Yeah. There are pros and cons, and I do hope to touch on those all day today. I would welcome to hear any and all common or unique perspectives on social media. An ability mom of two, Leah, is here. Hey, Leah, thank you for coming.
Hey, ability mama too. Good to see you.
Giving it my all, 2011, Donna. Donna is a very old YouTube friend of mine. We're old, not in age old, but go way back.
Yeah.
You just made me smile so much. It was so good to see you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. Donna is very, very supportive, Gemma. I just love her to death.
Okay, great.
It's so good. What a nice surprise. Malta says she's enjoying her coffee. Okay, good. Yes, I poured myself a cup of coffee too. Donna, haha, love you. So, Gemma, first of all, I want you to start off telling us how you started with your YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure. So the start of my YouTube channel was through my social worker when I just got diagnosed with autism. She was on YouTube showing me some autism stories of people, and she's like, "Oh, Gemma, you should do YouTube." And I remember saying to her, I was like, "Are you crazy? There's no way I'm doing YouTube. Like, there's too much stuff out there already about autism. I don't want to overflood it and people get bored of hearing the similar stories." And she pointed out to me that a lot of the stories on YouTube are children. So for me, I was like, oh, being diagnosed as a late adult in my mid-20s, I suppose it makes sense because a lot of the autism stories are children, and the way that families with autistic children interact with them and show their everyday life, but there isn't much from autistic adults' point of view. So I did my first video, and I was determined I wasn't going to do any more after that. And then she was like, see how that goes and see if you want to do any more. So I was like, okay, did a second video. And afterwards, I was just like, oh, I'm actually quite good at this. I enjoy it. I enjoy filming. I enjoy talking and getting my point out. I'm quite a passionate person. So afterwards, I was like, you know what? I think I want to keep on with YouTube and see how I do. I wasn't expecting to, in my first couple of months, I got to just over 60 subs. And then I jumped again to like 100 in my first like 4 or 5 months that I had on YouTube. And I was like, where are these people coming from? Like, they're actually watching me, like, mind blown.
Wow.
And it just kind of stepped from there. And then my family started getting involved, and they're like, wow, Gemma, you've got 100 supporters already. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, just by you sitting in front of a camera? I'm like, yeah. So it kind of became my lifeline. It became something that was my way of having my expression out there. And the amount of friends that I've made, they're more like family. You're my family. I'll call you my mum because I absolutely adore the world with you. And I'm like, as soon as I see you and other people, I'm like, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help people, and that makes my day. And if it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't be here. So it gives me something to be heartwarmed about and passionate about. I have people who have support me all the way, and that means the world to me to be on here.
Yeah, wow, that is so incredible. And you're right, there isn't enough of this out there from an adult's perspective. Now, Gemma, you do live alone, correct?
Yes, I've been living alone now for, well, in my flat here for nearly 5 years, but I've been living on my own for 8 years nearly. So yeah, it's been a big step in a big direction, because at first I remember my mum said to me, when she was going to be divorcing her partner, I moved to my dad's house because she had to sell the house. And I was like, what do you mean I've got to go live with my dad? Panic, panic, panic. I don't want to do this. I'm not comfortable. I don't want to leave my mum. And I was 18 at the time. My mum was like, well, things happen and you'll learn to adapt and everything. I'm like, that means bills. That means budgeting. That means paying rent. That means doing anything I don't want to do. And mum was like, well, maybe it's time for you to grow up and see how the real world is and everything. So I had to start paying weekly rent to my dad.
Now,
And
Gemma,
then,
forgive me for stopping you here, but this is before you were diagnosed with autism, correct?
yes,
This is
yeah.
before you even had any clue that there may be something a little bit different with the
Yes.
way you socialize and the way you cope and the way you grow up and the way you handle things. So
Yeah.
you're really thrown into this then.
Yeah. I've kind of gradually kind of been thrown into it. I went from living with my dad at 18 up until I was 23, and then he had to give up his house due to financial issues and he couldn't keep it. So I then went to live with one of his friends in a shared house and spent 2.5 years living there. And that was a big adjustment because, again, it was a new place that I didn't know. It was having to kind of plan how to use the kitchen, the bathroom, when to plan when I could have a shower or when I could go and have my private time. And it was like, oh, before I could do all this whenever I wanted, and now I'm on a timetable. I have to be appropriate. I have to make sure that I cook dinner at a certain time, make sure I wash up after myself, make sure I pay my rent on time. And I was like, wow, what am I doing? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to save money? And because before, if I had money in my bank, I'd spend it. I'd go, oh, money, brilliant. I can spend it. That's mine. No. Got to 21, 22 years old and going, oh, I've got to pay rent. I've got to pay water. I've got to pay gas. I've got to pay my electric. And I'm like, where does all this come from? Like, how much money do I need? So I had to sit down with my parents and my social worker, and we planned a financial timetable out. So every month they planned how much I could spend, how much I needed for my bills. And I stick by that every single time because that timetable has helped me to budget a lot more. And now I'm like, okay, if I have some money left over, I can spend a little of it. But if I still have some money left, that goes towards the bills for next month.
Right. So, but when you went on your own, you didn't have an income yet. So what are you doing for your income and how did you start all that?
Yeah, so my income now is mostly disability benefit because I'm out of work, paid employment wise. So I get a monthly allowance of money which covers my bills and then money for me to actually live on. So I technically, how much do I get? I get disability benefit. It's about £320 about once a month. I usually get that, but half of that goes to my bills.
But now that came with your diagnosis though, correct? I mean, before.
Yeah.
So forgive me, but for in between the time you go out, you're on your own, mom's like, you got to grow up. Did you just try to search for employment, like different jobs
I'm
and stuff?
currently on a what we call job seekers benefit. So basically that means that I get money to help me look for work. So that covers me for travel and any other things that I might need, such as clothes, outfits for interviews, things like that. So I get a fortnightly budget for that. That's like 85 pounds a week. So I get that. So I save that plus my DLA, which is my disability allowance. So once I work out how much money I get both of them, so I put that money aside in one bank for my bills, and then I have another bank for my disability benefit. So I know which one I can't or can touch. So I'm quite good with my money now, as I didn't used to. I used to be really, really bad with my money to the point where I had nothing left at all.
Yeah. Gemma, there's some people that are discussing in the chat. I'm going to go up just a little bit from where I was, and I believe you have some new friends that joined us, so I want to welcome them. Let's see where we all left off. Frank's here. Art to Morbid. Great channel, everyone. Please make sure you check out Frank. He's so supportive. Kit Kat is here. She's saying hello to Shannon. Shannon, Simply Shannon is here. Thank you. Oh, freezing rain coming her way. They're talking about the weather here. So I'm going to skip through that. Frank said he promised to be here for you.
Yes, he did. Hey, Frank, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Kit Kat says, Gemma is such a strong woman. Society defines a strong woman as independent, but I think it's a woman. Sorry, it jumped on me. I think it is a woman who had endured a lot in their life, but chooses to show kindness despite the cards life has dealt. Very well said, Kit Kat. And Simply Shannon agrees with me. Down the rabbit hole travel is here. Marty, thank you for coming. Good morning to you as well. Kit Kat, she is always willing to press forward and learn how to get over her fears and just keeps a teachable spirit about her. I love it. I agree.
Oh, hey, Kit Kat, that's, oh.
It's so true too. And you know, I think you say that you come home and you think, I don't want to get on. I've had a bad day. I've had a lot of sensory. I've had too much overwhelming things happen. I don't want to get on, but you do. And that's what I think the reason you're doing is because you want to bring awareness to your autistic lifestyle, and you have to show those things. And so that has to be so stressful for you and exhausting at times.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes, like yesterday, I had my nephew's birthday party. So I'd gone from having a benefits appointment in the morning to then coming home, doing part of my housework, then going out again to my sister's house and going out, having to have constant social chit chat, discussing what food I wanted to have, what drink I wanted to have. And then family members were coming in and out to visit. And she was like, they're like, oh, Gemma, what about this? How was your day? Oh, Gemma, how are you? And I'm like, I can only focus on 1 to 2 people at a time. And I've got 3, 4, 5 people coming up to go, Gemma, 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 Gemma at me. I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't cope with it. And people are like, why are you being so touchy? I'm like, because I've had such a lot of sensory issue during the day. I've had so much social communication. The last thing I want to do at night time is again be forced into a social conversation when all I've done all day is talk.
So Gemma, how many years now has it been since you were diagnosed?
It's been 6 years last month.
So 6 years too. And so much of that, being an adult, your family probably has had a lot of adjustments too. So they need to be reminded probably constantly that this is because of this, that I am this way.
Yeah. My dad has been very good about it. My dad's kind of been my backbone with all this because he's kind of been like, oh, well, we know Gemma's autistic. And recently there was a family friend who decided he'd try and, I guess, play a joke on me, but it backfired. And he kept touching my face and he kept touching my hair. And I said to him, please don't touch my face. I don't like it. It irritates me.
Well, I wouldn't even want anyone touching my face either. I mean, you've got to know your boundaries.
Yeah, it makes me really anxious. And I got to the point where I was like hiding my hair. I was like, just don't touch me. I was going like this, like just leave me alone.
Was this a little kid doing this? I must have missed
that. No, an adult, my dad's friend, he was trying to play a joke on me. He was like, oh, I'm just trying to wind you up and it's a joke. And I was like,
that's mean.
Don't do it. And then in the end, I ended up getting angry. And I was like, if you don't get away from me, I'm going to do something I regret. And he was like, oh, what you indicating? I was like, I don't know. I said, but if you don't get out of my face, you're making me feel really uncomfortable. It got to a point where I ended up pushing him like that because I was like, I warned you. I said, don't touch me. I don't like it. And that made me feel really bad.
I don't know if I could have handled that any better than you did. I would have been like, get off me.
Yeah, so it was difficult, but I've learned to adjust to it. Whereas me and my mum are still on a working relationship with that because my mum kind of, she's very not the most understanding person. She understands that it's difficult, but she kind of backs off and needs me to do everything. And then she'll sort of text me the odd message and be like, oh, is everything okay? Are you all right? I'm like, yes or no. I'll kind of text her, but my mum tries not to get involved in anything that I do for autism because she kind of doesn't want to, I guess, overshadow me. She said that she feels like she's kind of crushing me whenever she's been trying to get involved. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I get it.
Huh. Okay. That is very interesting, but I would think that that's not even, I mean, I think that's a separate issue with that adult, honestly, from my perspective. I don't really know the whole background of it, but I mean, I would not want anyone touching my face, even if it's a little child. Sometimes they get up in your space and you got to tell them, back off here. Give me
yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So almost 6 years, you've been diagnosed with autism. You've started a YouTube channel to bring awareness to it. Tell me some of the pros so far, what that has been for you.
Yeah, sure. So the pros, I must say, are the fact that I've been able to make really good friends on there, and I've been able to get my message out in a way that I like to, because I think a lot of people just expect me to be this person of, oh, all you're going to do is like talk about autism all the time. But I do it in a way that is interactive. I try and get people to answer questions or leave comments for me. I think the more I get the audience involved, they're going to feel more like they can believe in me and see what I like, what I'm like all the time. I think that's the best way to interact with them, because if you are just a formal person and a formal channel, you'll lose the value and support of people. So for me, I'm very interactive. I like doing the live streams and be like, hey guys, let me know how you are. How's your day? I like to find out more about you guys rather than me. I'm always going, oh, that's about me, but I want to know about you guys. I want to know your day, your stresses, your strategies that you do to cope in a day. I like to learn from you guys. So for me, I can learn the more neurotypical ways of coping, I guess.
Yeah. So did you start out live streaming or did you start out making videos?
I started out as a pre-recording channel, so I literally just did a lot of pre-record videos. I would bulk film and then release them once every day. And then it wasn't till last April where my friend, who's now known as Hugo Bossman on YouTube, was under a different name. He was like, "Oh, Gemma, I see that
I
you never."
remember Pete.
Yeah, Pete. And he was like, "Gemma, I see that you've never live streamed." And he's like, "You should be live streaming by now. You've got quite a lot of people on your channel." And I was like, "Oh, well, I've not really thought about it. It's not really something I've considered." And he was like, "Well," he said, I think it's his live stream. He said to me, he's like, "Gemma, I dare you tomorrow night. Just go live. Press the button. Do it." And I'm like, "What? What am I going to talk about? I can't just go live and ramble." And he was just like, "Just do it. Just muck about. Be silly." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I pressed the go live button, and I had like my first ever 10 people in my chat. And I'm like, now what do I do? Oh my God. I've got these 10 people in here chatting to me. I'm like, what do I say? What do I do? And I was just like, hi, 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 hi. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? And I was online for like 35 minutes, I think, my first ever live stream back in April last year. And I was like, oh, actually quite good. This is really fun. And then I
So as
started
a pro to that, being a non-social person, that must have felt good being able to talk to 10 people at the same time, but yet still be in your own bubble, correct?
yeah, yeah. It was like I kind of
I
in my
can
head.
so relate to that.
Yeah, I think in my head it was like I wasn't really thinking of the people. Was I was kind of just thinking of me doing a video. I was like, well, I'm sitting here. It's like I'm doing a video, but I've got people to talk to, and I'm having to be social. And I'm like, okay, well, you will say hello when you're in the conversation. You ask them how they are, and I was like, oh, okay, well, hi, how are you? And once the people were talking to me, I was like, oh. So for me, it wasn't necessarily so much chit chat, but for me, it was more the feedback I was getting. They're like, wow, you're doing well. This is your first live stream. I'm like, yeah, and I'm absolutely nervous as hell because I've never live streamed before until last April. And if it wasn't for Pete saying to me, just hit the go live button, I'm like, what? Are you trying to throw me off? You trying to make me feel anxious? He's like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And he brought over like 10, 11 people. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can do it. And then I met Joker through one of them chats as well. And he was like, you're live streaming. He's like, oh, I'm a new friend. He goes, I like the way you do your channel. I'm like, but there was only like 3 videos up at the time. I'm like, what good am I? I'm not doing anything. And he was like, well, you'll get it.
So the pro is that you were able to socialize, you were able to put yourself out there, you were able to let other people know what your lifestyle is like. The con now of live streaming, can you tell us, or do you feel comfortable telling us a little bit about?
Yeah, The
when on your experiences with this as it started to unfold?
Yeah, the cons of live streaming.
Oh, you know what, Gemma? I'm gonna stop you real quick because I have some other people in the chat I want to recognize real quick before we touch that subject.
Okay.
I believe Jason Gamer came on. Hello, good morning. Thank you for coming. And Frank had to go, and I think Marty has stated that she's going to be doing some editing, but she would listen in the background. Trade Creation is here. Thank you for coming. And Farmel Fanatic has joined. Thank you for coming.
Hey,
Gemma is here, and she, if you want to go back and catch some of the replay earlier, she kind of gave us a fill-in of what her life has been like since she's been diagnosed with autism in her adult life and living alone and learning to budget and learning to interact with people. And we just are about to touch on the cons of social media, which mainly pertaining to live streaming and how it all unfolded. Go ahead, Gemma.
Yeah, so the cons of live streaming for me have been some of the negativity. So people like trolls who came into my chat. Last year I had a couple of streams where I had a lot of trolls attack me. There was one stream where I had 16 trolls, one after the other, and they literally bombarded me with these disgusting, nasty comments, which not great. And they were basically saying my channel sucked and that I had issues, that I was brain damaged, and some other nasty comments which were horrible. And luckily I had some great mods in there at the time who were trying to get rid of them and delete them. And for me, I got quite overwhelmed. I was just like, no, I'm not coping with this. What do I do? I'm trying to block them as well. And then I've got my mods trying to do it. And these other trolls start coming in and they're like, oh, it must be troll day. I'm like laughing at me. And I'm like, and I end up shutting down the stream because I got so overwhelmed and upset with it. And then I end up crying because I was so disappointed. I was having such a fun stream at the beginning. And then within my first 12 minutes, she just bombarded me and hit me with all these comments. And I was just like, oh, I've never had trolls before. What do I do? And it kind of really got to me. I was like, I've not said anything wrong or rude or disrespectful. And I was like, okay. And I remember going offline thinking, I must have said something to tick them off. I must have done something to aggravate them for them all to come in one at once to want to target me. And I went through all the previous live stream that I'd done, and I was like, well, I haven't said anything. I played it back, and I was like, maybe it's just a bad day. That was a bad day of trolls. And so the cons can be that it upsets you, it frightens you, it can make you feel that you don't want to live stream again. And for a while, I didn't live stream. I took a 2.5 month break off live streaming. I was so upset and hurt that I felt I didn't deserve to live stream. I was like, well, clearly people don't want to listen or watch my live streams. So I stopped everything. And then it kind of made me feel hurt because I was like, but I'm good at it. I enjoy it. I love live streaming. But in the back of my head, I was like, well, it's boring. You're boring them. You're losing viewers. They obviously don't want you to live stream because they obviously think there's something not good about it. And I believed that for a few months, and it wasn't until I got a phone call from another YouTuber who was like, Gemma, what are you doing? Why are you listening to that? And I'm like, because this. And I'm like, Gemma, no, don't listen to it. Come back, start live streaming again. So I remember coming back after the 2 months and I live streamed and I got the most likes I've ever had. I got 51 likes on one live stream.
Oh,
And I had
wow.
like 27 people in. And I was just like, okay, I'm not a bad person. It wasn't my fault that that happened to me. It wasn't me who caused it. And ever since then, I'm like, you know what? Don't listen to trolls because they are going to happen, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they are going to be around because they are people who don't get it. They don't understand. So my advice would be not to listen to the trolls. If you can possibly help it, get yourself some really great mods because they're the people who will protect you. And it depends who you have in your social circle as well, who you have on your streams to help you. So I'd keep on live stream. I wish I didn't take that break. I do regret that. I think that's the con that I would say that I really regret doing that and listening to them.
But now, were you still able to Google Hangout or socialize with the YouTubers that were supporting you and trying to mentor you and encourage you through that during that
Yeah,
time?
yeah, I managed to keep on contact with most of them. I took a break off Google Hangouts a little bit because, again, I doubted my conversation ability. I was like, well, people aren't going to want to speak to me because I'm feeling a bit negative and I'm upset, I'm frustrated, and I'm like, I don't want to upset them and bring them down. So in my head, I was like, I'll just go away. I'll take some time out. I'll calm down and I'll come back when I'm ready to speak to people. And it wasn't until I spoke to you and a couple of other YouTubers, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I don't get this. This is crazy, and I don't know what to do. And people are like, Gemma, you're fine. It's just one bad thing, you're letting it get to you. And I was like, I need to be helping people. That's what I'm about. I like to help people and educate them. And if I listen to the trolls, I'm doing exactly what I didn't set out to do. I'm listening to the hate rather than listening to the support. So I'm back doing live streams again. I think it's just about pressing forward through that hate, regardless if you can or not. And I think that's important. I shouldn't have listened to that. And I think now I look back, I'm like, that was a bad spot in my YouTube, but now I'm back, I'm happy, and yeah, it can be really difficult.
Yeah, I remember when we first met, I was telling you that you should do like day in the life things. So you should actually be able to show people how your day goes. And you started doing that and you took us on a train ride and you
Yes.
started vlogging in public, which is not just difficult for an autistic person. It's difficult for even someone of myself that is not on the spectrum. So I was so impressed that you took my advice and ran with it.
Yeah, I'm starting to do them again now because I kind of fell behind my public vlogging, and I'm actually going out tomorrow to my local autism service. I'm doing a public vlog about what I do with them and how I got involved with doing the training with them. So that's going to be a bit of filming tomorrow.
Yeah,
And we're
and so you're a volunteer too. You're very involved too. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the autism service here in the UK is a partly mental health uh, trust here, and basically, when I got diagnosed by them, they had a volunteer route to go down, and they rang me a few months after my diagnosis. And they're like, "Oh, Gemma, we've got an opportunity for you if you're interested." I'm like, "Okay, not sure if I want to do it, but okay, I'll listen." So they came to meet me at my flat. There was the social worker and a psychologist and psychiatrist who came to see me, and they talked me through all the different entry requirements that I could do and my schedule. So I started on 2 days a month, and I did like 3 or 4 hours of just like admin work in their office, doing filing, faxing, which I'm very good at, and it was faxing the referrals and filing them in time and date order. So I was like, woohoo, yay, filing. I love office work. I'm quite, my mind, I say, is like a dictionary. I like to file everything. I keep everything filed. My YouTube videos in my folder. And Gemma, you're really good at this. How about we increase it a little bit and you come and do it weekly instead of monthly? I'm like, okay,
Wow.
it's a big jump, but I'll consider it. So it became, instead of twice a month, it became twice a week. And ever since last April, May, June time, it went from being the twice a month to twice a week. And now I'm going there twice a week on the train. And I'm going there tomorrow for half the day to do some work with them and some training. And I love it. I feel confident. I lead the group. I'm able to give my voice out. I help people who are newly diagnosed. So tomorrow they have a post-diagnostic support group, which is going to be a group of 20 adults who have been diagnosed in the last 3 to 5 months, and they're basically going to be not sure of who they are. They're not going to be sure of what the diagnosis means. So for someone like me to go in there and be like, hey, it's absolutely fine. You're proud to be autistic. This is what happens. And so I'm going to help them identify what happens when they go through the process and
That's
make
really
that
huge. Wow,
really
that's
excited.
fantastic.
Yeah. So that makes me really happy to do that. And I've been doing it now for nearly 8 months, nearly. And it's really enjoyable. I go on the train. I love the train journey there because it's about half an hour on the train from my flat. So I literally just walked to the train station, which is about 5 minutes down the road from me. And then I get the train, and then I get there, and they usually have a lunch thing out for me. They give me a free lunch, which is really, really cool. So it's really, really nice. I feel included. It's like another family. I go outside from being in my family to my volunteer family, and then I come home to my YouTube family. So I spend all day with my family. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, you're very sociable for being a non-social spectrum, being on the
Yeah,
someone
it's
non-social.
practice.
So you should pat yourself on the back for that. I think that's fantastic.
It's practice. I follow a lot of your lead and other people I see on YouTube, and I'm like, well, if they can be smiley and happy, and if they can show me how a neurotypical life is, and for me, that intrigues me about what you do, because you sit here and you interview people when you're chilled out and you're relaxed, and the way that you interview people is so good, whereas other people that I've seen, it seems like it has to be a kind of job role. It's like, oh, well, this question, this question, this question. Whereas with you and other YouTubers who I've been interviewing, I'm like, oh, I'm at home, I'm in their house, I'm going to theirs, I'm going to their front door or their front room. Whereas I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry so much. I don't have to think, oh, I have to shut up and be formal, or I have to speak when I'm spoken to. So I'm like, yay.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but I can relate to that as well. I mean, I want people to come into my home. I want them to feel comfortable, and I love being able to interact. I think technology is fantastic. I am so excited that we are able to do this.
Me too. I love being here. I love being able to answer your questions. Anyone in the chat who has questions, I think for me, I feel so much more relaxed. I'm like, okay. I was a little bit anxious this morning. I was like, but calm down. Everything's good. You know, Miss Kathy, she's your online mom. I was like, nope, I'm good. Everything's good. I'm good.
Yeah. Let's see. Does anyone have questions in the chat? I'm still learning with the whole live streaming and trying to interview and do the chat at the same time. So I do always want to make sure that I get back to the chat at some point. I know some people have kind of come in and gone, and I've tried to acknowledge them with just typing their name in here. But does anyone have questions for Gemma? This said they are traveling and they are listening, and if it fits, it bakes. Was talking about Oreos. I saw that. We have Nykoda. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome to the stream. Got bread? Suddenly craving spam.
Oh, Kit Kat's asked a question. I just found it.
Okay, good. Yeah, they're talking about food here. And then one other person came in, unapologetically gnomes, says, good morning. I don't see Kit Kat's question. So do you want to grab it?
Yeah, I've got it here. She says, Gemma, I couldn't imagine how you felt when finding out. Were you relieved for the diagnosis or scared for what that meant for you from this point forward? That's a great question, Kit Kat.
It really is.
Yeah. So when I got diagnosed, it was a big whack in the face, because I spent the previous 8 months going backwards and forwards to the psychologist and psychiatrist appointments, and they were 3-hour appointments at a time. So they were basically getting me to do these tests. And the first meeting we had was me, my mum, my auntie, and the psychologist and psychiatrist. They sat us down in this little office room, and they were like, okay, Gemma, do you know why you're here? Was the first question. I'm like, no, not really. I understand that I'm being assessed for potential mental health condition because of my behaviour, but I wasn't entirely sure that it was autism related at the time. So I was like, no, I don't get it. Why am I here? And my mum was like, well, Gemma, we think you might be on the autism spectrum. Like, your doctor's given you the assessment and he's referred you for the tests. So I had to do these two tests called the AQ test, which was a test about memory and communication. And my memory's pretty good most of the time, and the questions were so derailing. It was questions on based of a scale of 1 to 10. So I had to sit down and tick all these boxes out of 1 to 10. Where do I feel I fit on the social spectrum? And I remember ticking these boxes going, it was like, how sociable are you, or do you avoid social activity? And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? are they trying to say I'm non-sociable, or do I not like it? So I had to read the questions. It took me about an hour to read this sheet of paper, and I ticked these boxes. And the psychologist was like, "This is looking very likely, Gemma. We think we know what you've got." And I'm like, "But you've only had me in here for an hour. You can't know me
Wow.
after an hour." And he was like, "Gemma, we know more about you than what you know." I'm like, "Okay, that's worrying." And then my mum was like, "Gemma, everything's making sense. Like they know everything." And then we had to bring my school documents for the second appointment, and they read through all my school history with my behaviour being bullied and refusing to go to school. And I used to get to the point where my mum would have to walk me into the actual classroom to make sure I stayed in the school, because I used to threaten to leave school during the day.
So
So my
were
mum,
you not evaluated at school at all?
no,
Wow.
no one would believe me. We tried. My mum actually went to the parents' evening every single term and was like, "Look, something's not right with Gemma. We know her behaviour's odd. She's not behaving. When she gets home, she's stressed. She's upset. She doesn't want to go to school. She's begging us to stay at home." And the teacher's like, "Well, she's fine here. She behaves. She does her work. She's polite. She joins in with everything." I was like, "Yeah, but that's Gemma putting on her face for school. That's the act. That's not her." So when I get home, I was so socially overwhelmed and stressed out from doing all the classwork. My mum would get the upset Gemma. It would be the Gemma who refused to do her homework, the Gemma who refused to have a shower before bed, and see little things like that. And I was like, "Gemma, enough's enough. You're a teenager. You've got to start looking after yourself." And it wasn't
Wow, you
till
really have overcome so much, Gemma.
yeah, it wasn't till
Really
I
an amazing
started
story.
getting through my main stages of my school that one of the actual social workers in the end did say, "Well, we think Gemma could have a behaviour disorder." My mum's like, "We've been battling this for over 6 years. Why wasn't this picked up?"
Wow.
And then I went into college, and my college lecturer, the first year I did my A levels, and the college lecturer told my mum, he's like, "Look, I don't think Gemma's going to cope with this. I don't think she'll finish the A level." Well, I proved him wrong. Way! I finished my A level, completed it, got a diploma. Woohoo! Robbed that in his face. I was like, "Yay! Well, you told me and my mum I would fail. Guess what? I haven't." So
You are
passed.
a go-getter. Wow.
And then it wasn't till the second year of my A levels where I gone from being on a high to a slump, that I was like, "Oh, okay, now I'm struggling. I can't cope with the placement on my course because they sent me on various placements of hospitals, nurseries, because I was doing my health and social care diploma." And I got to the point where I was skipping the placements. They would ring up my college and be like, "Where's Gemma? She's not coming again." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they brought my mum in to be interviewed about it. And my mum's like, "I told you, I swear Gemma has a behaviour disorder. I think she's got something like on the autism spectrum." So when after college, when I officially started getting assessed, my college lecturer wrote a 4-page document stating all my behaviour and was like, "Gemma does this, 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 this." And then they got the college nurse to actually write a referral as well. And if it wasn't because of her and then her writing me an emergency referral to my GP, I would have never been seen, because my GP at first wouldn't believe me. He's like, "No, you just got anxiety. You're fine. You'll get over it. It's just a short-term depression." I'm like, "I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Well, you don't know that. Anxiety can take many forms." I was like, "Okay." And it took another nearly 4 months to go back to the GP again with my assessment and all the paperwork. And then we call them a link worker now. The link worker, who is the mental health assistant, referred me, and he was like, "I'm going to tell you a secret, Gemma. I haven't told anyone this." I was like, "Okay." He said, "I have a 9-year-old son." So I was like, "Okay, cool. This is groovy." And he was like, "My son is autistic." And I was like, "That word, why are people telling me that? Why is that word keep coming back to me?" And he was like, "I think you're autistic, Gemma." He goes, "I'm pretty 99.9% certain you are." and we talked through all the different special interests that I do, such as my interests with writing, with campaigning, with being online all the time. He was like, "Do you ever give yourself a break?" I'm like, "No, pretty much no." And he was like, "Do you have that as an interest? Is that a core focus for you?" I was like, "Yes, it's my escape. I escape from every day by being online." And he was like, "I'm doing an emergency assessment. You need to be seen now." I'm like, "Okay." And within 3 months, I was seen by a top psychologist who then took 6 months to assess me. And in 2014, on the 14th of January, I got my diagnosis letter through the post saying that I'd officially been diagnosed with autism. Then a week later, they sent me a 40-page document with
Wow.
every single thing about my life on it. And I'm like, oh, now this is what my life is. This is why I've acted odd for all this time. This is why I've been naive and socially awkward, and why I am still socially awkward to a degree, because I
I
have a
admire you so much to be able to live without answers that long. But now you can turn that around and bring more awareness to it for those who don't have to do that.
yeah, it took time. I think being an adult, I kind of fitted in for so long, and fitting in, you kind of, for me, I've kind of acted to a degree because I've had to be socially polite, and I've had to behave to the social norms, and people are, Gemma, remember to only speak when you're spoken to. Remember to keep calm. Remember to know what you're talking about.
I'm
Keep
sitting here in my head thinking of your parents as well and the struggles they must have faced through just schooling. I mean, not let alone bullying. I know I'm going to be talking about that next week with Jess K, but the fact that they didn't have answers or have support for all those years. And, you know, what would you say to parents today who have a young child who might be going through similar things that you were portraying? Like, what are the signs that they could look for?
yeah,
I know one of them is, like you had said, your eye contact. Is that something that is that pretty typical sign that a parent could look for?
yeah. So things like eye contact, um, lack of motivation. So when a parent calls their name, they might not respond to their parent. Whereas with me, when my parents started leaving me with family friends when they would go out to work, my mum was wanting a response of me getting upset or going to put my arms out to say, "Don't leave me." And instead, my mum told me that I never showed any interest in being left. I wasn't bothered. And my mum's like, "That's odd, Gemma. You never cried for me. You're never like hugging me to stop me from going."
Hmm.
And whereas my sister and brother, they were completely like that. They were crying, screaming. Whereas I would be like, "Okay, not bothered, kind of leave me." And then my mum would come pick me up at the end of the day, and then I wouldn't interact with her. I wouldn't show her the attention that I wanted. And my mum said to me it was really difficult because all she wanted was that affection from me, and I was just distant. I didn't care. I wasn't bothered. And my mum said that's the first reason she noticed that something was wrong, because I kind of become isolated from my family. And it began with my mum, then it happened with my dad, because we started getting onto a sort of warpath situation. And my parents were like, "What is wrong with Gemma? Why has she gone from being this lovely child to all of a sudden a nightmare child?" And then I started having speech issues, which they
Yeah, and
then,
the fact that you couldn't communicate what you were thinking.
yeah, I had speech therapy for about 9, 10 years of my life. I would go for a 2 hour session because I had poor coordination. I still do have poor coordination quite badly. And I would go to this session, they would help me go climb over things like skipping ropes and different things like that to fix my coordination. And one of the things that my speech and language therapist said is she couldn't believe that I'd acted so normal for quite a long time because I'd had no choice but to do it. But when my struggles came out, like trying to get her to teach me to tie a shoelace, still can't do it. Can't tie a shoelace to save my life. So all my shoes are non laced because I can't do laces, and people are like, why can't you do laces? It's so simple. All you've got to do is wrap it around your finger and pull it. And I'm like, I can't. I have tried so many times. It's
Yeah.
just my coordination. I can't. I fiddle when I get anxious. I'm just like, no, don't want to do it. So everything now is slip-ons or flats or trainers, so I can just put them on and that's it. I don't have to think, oh, there's a lace or something I need to do. So that's a giveaway as well. So lack of tying shoelaces or finding shoes difficult to put on. Wearing the appropriate clothing is a big issue with people on the spectrum because for years, I still do it to a degree, not as much now, but I would wear summer clothes in the winter and my mum would come and get me to go out. She's like, you can't wear that. That's a summer item. I'm like, but I'm warm. I don't want to wear something that's going to make me too over hot, over toasty. I'm warm. I'll wear. My mum was like, no, Jim, it's cold outside. You will freeze. It's cold. Don't be silly. And I was like, no, but I want to wear it. No, I want to wear it. My mum was like, no, you'll get changed. You're not wearing it. And then I would wear winter clothes in the summer. So I'd reverse it. My mum's like, what is up with you? What are you doing? So that became an obvious sign that I wasn't sensitized to the weather. And I still get
Wow.
that a lot. And people are like, is that a spectrum thing? I'm like, yeah, my body is weird. I don't feel the cold at all. I can feel the heat and be like, I'm hot, don't like it, I'm hot. When it's cold, I don't show any of it. I'm like, I don't go, oh, it's cold, or and people are like, you're weird. You don't feel the cold. It's been snowing and raining here last couple of weeks, and people are like, Gemma, it's minus whatever in the UK right now. And you're sitting here in a dress. I'm like, yeah, because it's nearly March, it's getting warm. And people are like, Gemma, it's snowing outside. I'm like, not bothered. And I don't feel the cold, I guess. It's just something that I have to learn to process. And yes, it's things like that can be obvious. Speech, again, is an issue because a lot of people with autism, I know from what I've been told, have a monotone kind of voice. I don't change my pitch of my voice that much. People are like, Gemma, don't you care? Like,
Oh,
don't
I think you do have a very good expressive tone.
and
And that
people
may have been that may be one of the pros of you being on live streams and talking and interacting more, becoming
yeah,
more sociable. I
yeah,
think that social media has allowed you to become more sociable. And I think that's been a definite pro to this for you.
yeah. I think also the relationships as well, because having people like you as my online mum, that really helps me to be grounded. Having you guys there to help me, support me, is made me grow. And I think
Yeah, it's an
I've grown so
acceptance.
much.
Everyone needs an acceptance, and you've got an identity now, and so now being able to accept your identity has really been so beneficial. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I've seen you change this past 7, 8 months.
yeah, definitely. I've
Watching.
really learned to believe myself, and I think I know me and you are very, very spiritual people. Have my faith keeps me grounded. I listen to a lot of gospel music, which helps to keep my anxiety at bay mostly. And even today, this morning, I was listening to some gospel music. I was just like, just help keep me grounded. I want to be calm. I'm not going to be anxious, and everything's going to go well. And I prayed my whole day. So I've literally been like, I'm panicking and I was stressed, and I'm just like, no, calm down, everything's good. And having that faith keeps us grounded. I think that's another reason why I
Yeah.
am able to interact with a lot of people, because that is what I focus on. That is how I get myself through the day. And I think without my faith, I would be an anxious wreck.
Yeah, yeah. And what about your poetry? Do you want to hit a little bit on the poetry? I know you're doing a 21-day poetry challenge that you had done in the past with ThinkShare, Zach.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit on that for just a little bit? And just
Yeah.
maybe when we wrap up, I want you to just let everyone know anything that you would suggest for someone who is autistic that wants to start a social media or a YouTube channel. But go ahead
Okay.
and talk about your poetry first.
Yeah, sure. So for poetry, it kind of, again, that was a thing that was suggested by my social worker at first. And she was like, when you feel upset, Gemma, what do you do? And I'm like, usually cry or get stressed out. I usually take it out on my dad or my mum. And she's like, have you tried writing your feelings down like a diary or a journal? I was like, yes, I used to write a journal, but I stopped it because when I used to live with my parents, it often either end up getting read or someone would find it. And I don't want my personal stuff being read out. So I kind of stopped doing my journal. And then my social worker was like, why don't you get yourself a journal where you can keep hold of it, where it's just your private journal, you put all your feelings into it. So I was like, okay, I'll go and buy a journal, which is what I did. I bought a journal, I still use it, which is next to me, and I write all my feelings down. So if I have a good day or bad day, I'll put the list of how I feel. And then I was like, she's like, have you tried writing a poem? Just write a couple of verses of how you feel each day. I'm like, that's silly. Why are people going to want to read my feelings? That's just silly. That's private. And she's like, no, just try it. So I did one trial poem that I did for Joker. And I was like, let me know if this is silly, if it's stupid, barbaric, whatever, let me know. So I did this poem for him, and I remember him come back to me. He was like, this is one of your first ever poems. I'm like, yeah. And he was like, you're really good at it, Gemma. You got to put it onto YouTube. I'm like,
That's fantastic.
I was like, wow, okay. Don't know how to do it. So I set up a playlist with my poetry, and then I met ThinkShare through that, and he then challenged me to the original challenge of doing 21 days to come out of my comfort zone of poetry. So I was like, okay, don't know what I'm going to talk about, what subjects I want to do, but I'll try and write a poem every day. And me and him really got to know each other, the pros and cons of writing poetry. And then again, recently, he's been going through a bit of a hard time, same as what I have. So he's like, how about we do the challenge again, but do it in a new way? Instead of using poetry that you have written before, I want you to write 21 fresh ones. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, I've got to write a poem every day. Okay, I'll try it. I'll do it. So far, I've actually written, I've got 12 complete ones that I've written here in my plastic wallets. So I'm like, okay, I've got 12 here ready to go to film, and I'll see how I do and upload them onto YouTube under the 2019 playlist.
That's
So
quite a
people,
challenge. I couldn't do that. I think that's very impressive.
yeah, it's really helped me to come out of my comfort zone and kind of be like, you know what? Just because I'm autistic and I have a disability doesn't mean I can't have a bit of fun and persuade other people to join in with it. We're hoping that a lot more people will join in with it, and people like yourself or anyone who has that creative writing outlet. If anyone wants to join in with it, all you've got to do is film a video, put it onto your YouTube channel. I can then add it into my 2019 playlist, and it will be getting you some watch time and views. So we're doing it just to encourage each other and motivate each other. I think it's a good way of building support. And I think it's also a good way, regardless if you have a disability or not, that
I
you can
think a
join
lot
in.
of songwriters could probably jump on that challenge. Have you?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people would benefit from it. And I challenge anybody who's in the chat, if you want to write a poem, send it to me, put it on your YouTube channel. I will add you to my playlist and it will get shared, and go for it. I think a lot of people would really benefit from it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Gemma, did you have the link to your channel or maybe one of the videos you want to post that in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I'll chat in the chat right now. Hello. There we go. So that's my channel there.
Yeah.
And if I post the one from today, which was this one here. I'm getting used to using my phone for the chat, which is strange. That's the link from today's poem if anyone hasn't seen it in the chat. So
Perfect.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
on
I
there.
think we do. I haven't been watching my actual channel. I just have the chat popped out to Google. Kristen Awkward just says hello. She's here for you. I think we still have several people watching. I'm not sure what the count is or who's here, but I do want you to give your advice to whoever would want to start a YouTube channel. If there are someone that's watching today or the replay that is autistic, because I do think that the pros outweigh the cons, don't you?
Definitely. I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons, because if you're autistic, this is the thing, Don't
Rant Jams just joined
let it hold you back, because social media, wherever you go, regardless if it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, any of them sites, you are going to get negativity. But again, it's whether you choose to allow it or not. I think for anyone who has a disability, regardless if it's autism, cerebral palsy, mental health conditions, YouTube is a really good outlet. There is people here who care for you and support you and will help you every step of the way. And I have fantastic friends on here who do support me and my journey. I have grown so much as a person. Don't let it define you. Don't let it stop you from doing what you're passionate about, because YouTube has opened up so many opportunities for me, and that not just the friendships, but family. You guys are my family. I don't just call you my subscribers, you're my family. Every time I log on, I'm like, hey family, how are you? How is everybody? I like to be sociable and chat with you all. We've become interlinked, so there is someone here for you, and just step out and do it. It might be scary at first, but there is support here and you'll benefit from it. I have, Miss Kathy has. Everyone in the chat does YouTube because they're passionate about it. And Miss Kathy by herself alone is a really admirable, inspirational advocate for people, because she's compassionate. She has that background of love and empathy with people. So if you do have the chance to come onto YouTube and you get to meet Miss Kathy, 100%, 110% hand my heart, she is one of the most admirable people I've ever met. Please go and support Miss Kathy, because she deserves way more people than what she's got. And her channel is nothing but pure inspiration and light. And I do absolutely adore the world of her. So if you don't know Miss Kathy, please come connect with her. She's
thanks for that plug, Gemma. But really, today is about you. And you guys, I'm just so excited to have Gemma here. And I do think that it's a great opportunity for anyone, autistic or not, spectrum or not, that, interacting on social media really helps those, I believe, that it's mainly, I think, introverting. It's just so much easier to socialize with someone in your own environment, and YouTube allows us to do that. So for me, that's the biggest pro, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely opened my world up, and like I say, it's become my family, and it's something that I'm passionate about. I get excited about YouTube every time I log on. I'm like, let's see what's new today, and I check out people's videos, and I get to see your beautiful face and people like Kit Kat and Kristen and other people who support me. I'm like, oh, my family's updated. They've uploaded a video. They're doing an interview. Cool. I'll be there. I'll support them. So it's a really good platform. I love it.
Yeah. Rant Jams is here. Hello, Rant Jams. We're actually going to be wrapping up, but he just made a very big statement I'll read out loud. It's very true. Maximum interaction with people is important for social development. Very well said, Rant Jams. And Patsy Houlihan joined us as well.
Hey, Patsy.
Be sure and check out Patsy Houlihan's channel as well. She makes YouTube fun.
She definitely does. Patsy has an incredible channel, I must say. I do enjoy her content.
Yeah. Well, Gemma, I think that we're about to wrap up. We've been going here, I think about an hour now. That's what I'm trying to keep these at, about an hour. So, but thank you so much for joining me. And thank you everyone for acknowledging Gemma and answering the questions that she had in the chat. And I hope everyone has a really great day. And for you, Gemma, a good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Gemma, if you want to hold on just a bit, I'll finish up with you when I stop the broadcast. An alien just got in here too. I just realized I wasn't subscribed. Well, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up before we end it.
Yes, please hit the thumbs up, people.
Thank you for the stream, Gemma and Miss Kathy. Have a wonderful day. Rant Jam says, love this series. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.